So we have the plants that are going to go in the pond, and we have some rare ones to start with. Now this is one of our rarer plants. This is a Oxygenating, and this is various leaf pondweed, which is getting quite rare now to find in any pond. And lucky enough, we managed to find a really big source of this in a big lake, and so I've managed to get some and propagate it. And putting this in it, as it looks like now, it doesn't look like anything, but when it starts to grow, that'll grow up next year from the base of the pond, and it'll look like green seaweed coming up. And that is lovely for newts to lay their eggs on and other creatures to use. We have another one here which has got a fantastic name. This is frogbit. And frogbit is a bit like strawberry runners. It sends these runners out. And then this little guy here is called a turin. And a turin is its seedlet. And then in the winter time that will drop to the bottom and the plant will completely disappear from the pond. And then when it gets warm in May time, that will then pop up again and start growing. And it can grow quite profusely and cover a pond quite easily, but don't worry about it because it's not harmful, and obviously if there's too much you can always pull a bit out, and it just floats around. It's called frogbit because baby frogs sit on it, so it's really good. But it has a lovely little single white flower, 3-petal white flower in the middle of it, so that can come up and have a lovely flower, and that just floats about. Then we have some other lovely things here. We have this lovely soft hornwort, and soft hornwort is our native English weed that we can use in the pond. And this lovely soft hornwort is beautiful for going in the pond, and it is your main oxygenating weed in the pond. Again, it grows 4 foot a year and can grow profusely again, but we don't mind that. It doesn't root, it's a rootless plant. And in winter time, it again dies back, but it drops lots of seedlets in the base of the pond. And then next year you'll see it look like it's growing up from the base of the pond. But if you pull on it, there's no root, and it just comes out. And again, it doesn't matter how much you have of this, you can have vast quantities of this in the pond and it's not harmful. But if you want to see more clear water, if it gets too much, again, you can pull it out. Brilliant compost for going in your plants, or you can actually eat it because it's edible. Wow. And it's a really good edible plant.
Is there anything you don't eat?
not in the pond. Only the poisonous ones I'd never touch in a pond. Don't recommend it for everybody to do that because obviously lots of creatures on these things. So that's rigid hornwort. You can feel how tough that is compared to soft hornwort, which is that one, which is you can feel the difference. Gosh. So it's quite soft. Yeah. So we've got rigid hornwort and soft hornwort, and they're both grow in the bottom of the pond. Wow. We've also got a few little creatures in it, so we've got some hog louse and water imps already in there, because everything lives on these plants anyway. And down in the bottom, I've got something else in the bottom, which is the rare plant. I want a rarer plant. Doesn't look like anything either at the moment, but this is the one I was saying about. This is a greater bladderwort. This is a carnivorous water plant. And this again, you see, as it grows in these big long legs. Doesn't look very much at all that, but that can actually grow 3 foot in length. And all these little black bladders on that is what eat mosquito larvae and water fleas. And again, it has a beautiful white orchid flower. But you don't need a lot. You see, I don't put a lot in because this will grow amazingly well because of the nutrients in the pond, and that's what it wants, and it will grow and grow, and it comes a lovely lime green feathery plant, which is really, really good. The first life in the pond is the hornwort, and it's going in to oxygenate the water and start the cleaning process. And that's all you have to do is break it up and throw it in, and it will find its levels. And then we throw in this frog bit, we'll break that off there and just throw that one in. And throw that in, you see, and it will find its way and turn itself up. And we throw that one in together, let's get them two out of there. I want to get this lovely weed in there, and that will just delicately go down. There's probably got seed on that as well, so that will just go in there and start to find its way in the pond. And each of these different weeds go down and find their gullies and the places to go, and that just adds the life already. And then the lovely bladderwort, and that will go in there as well, and that will find its way. See, look how different it looks already. Just goes lovely lime green in the bottom. And they're beautiful. And then I think we've got in here, got some creatures in here. See a little water shrimp there.
Oh, yeah, tiny.
Tiny little water shrimps and a little hog louse behind, which is like a water woodlouse. So that'll start. I know all them plants have them all on already. So we just rinse it out in the pond and put all that lot in. And they will all start the process of creatures in the pond anyway. So they're the ones going in the main part of the water. And then we have our lovely water lily going in as well. So that'll be also going in. And that's probably a white flowered water lily, I think. And it's going to grow just down in there. And that would lovely grow up from that. We have one here which is one of the most useful plants ever and has been used since Stone Age times. And you can smell that. If you crisscrumb the leaves and have a smell, that is a lovely one to smell.
Oh, mint.
That is water mint. And water mint is the best one ever because you can pick a leaf off, rub it on your skin, and that's your insect repellent. It has lovely mauve flowers which again attract lots and lots of flies and bees and wasps and things come to that. And it sends out these lovely long runners and lovely feeding roots as well, which is what cleans the water. All the scum on the surface at the moment, this is what this will absorb when it starts to grow, and it will send out this runner and send up a new plant. So again, like all mint species, it can become a little bit invasive, but it can just quite nice because you suddenly get one plant come up 4 feet away, and if you don't like it, you just chop it off. But this is a lovely one. You can cook it with your potatoes.
Lovely.
You can use it in your shed to keep mice out, and it works for potpourri indoors as well. So it's one of the loveliest plants for a pond. You have a nice clump of water mint to be fragrantly growing there, like purple loosestrife, which can grow 6 foot tall and absolutely loved by dragonflies and really, really nice. And again, this plant just gets bigger. Yeah. So and if you want it to not be so tall and want it as a bush, you just take the top off early in the spring, and again, it will bush out into a lovely plant. I can go right down in there, and that will love that. Now, behind the purple loosestrife, we try to put in the meadowsweet. Meadowsweet, you can make meadowsweet champagne with this. You can make tea with this, and it's really, really nice. But this has lovely, again, very fragrant, fluffy white flowers, and can grow quite tall. And it's usually in flower at the same time as the purple loosestrife. So you get the two together, so you get the white, fluffy, and the purple in front. Can look very picturesque. That's good. Now we have a yellow iris here, which is ready for come back again. It's finished its flowering at the end of the year, but it will come back again next year. Now this is quite an important plant because this plant actually takes the heavy metals out of the water. So any heavy metals in the air, the leads and the cadmiums from pollution, this absorbs it in its culms. And what you can do is, as the plant gets bigger and gets old, you can actually cut the old culms off, which all these heavy metals are stored in, and then discard them. Can be put in compost heap, but you can put them into rubbish or things like that and take them away. But that's an absolutely gorgeous yellow flag iris, a lovely common iris, which is lovely. And lots, again, beetles and other things use that. And this one, as it's called, marsh woundwort, and it's called woundwort because it does help your wounds and can stop bleeding. It's got a little bit of a hairy stem, again square stem as well, and has a lovely little mauvey pink flower on the top. And we have another little plant in here too, which I kept it in deliberately because this is a more delicate self-seeding plant. It's a perennial, but it's a self-seeding perennial, and this is blue water speedwell, and you can see them lovely little delicate blue flowers. And again, it will just self-seed round the pond, and you just see it pop up. About middle of June it will start growing, and you get these lovely little clumps of blue flowers. And when it gets big, it can get a little bit of a bush. You've got these little tiny little fragrant blue flowers, and then they just pop up all around the pond and look so different. Wow. This is another one that's one of the best for the newts and that. This is brook-lime, and brook-lime is really, really nice, again, for growing around the edge of the pond. Has lots of little blue flowers, and newts and that like to lay their eggs on this and fold over the leaves. But this is also, you can use in salads because you can eat that as well in salads, so it's really, really nice in salads. Bit bitter, bit like a dandelion is, but really, really nice to have in a salad and very good to eat. And you can eat the whole plant, you don't have to eat just the leaf, you can eat the whole plant. And again, once that grows, that will pad out across the pond and becomes shelter for a lot of creatures, but also gives you colour and beauty in the pond as well. This is a nice reedy one. This is Galingale. Galingale is quite a strong reed when it grows, and again it's triangular in shape and it grows up lovely at the back, and sweet Galingale has a lovely feathery flower head on it and can look really, really pretty. This is another one. Remember, this is like the buttercups, they're all poisonous species, so don't ever eat this one. This is lesser spearwort. You have greater spearwort, which grows really tall and can send out big long runners, and that can be a bit invasive in a pond this size, whereas lesser spearwort is much more delicate but has these lovely little buttercup flowers, and again it will set seed and drop its seeds, and again the plant just divides itself and gets bigger and bigger. And so that again will grow out and actually grow out across the water. It's quite tall, this one, because it's in a pot, but it'll actually go down into the water and grow out across the water, and you get these little yellow flowers coming up out in the water as well, which is really good. Also used by newts to lay eggs on. So we put one at the top there, and then the other one can go right down there. Pardon? They just slide in, they want to be there, that's right, they want to be there. And go out into the water a bit more, and that adds to that. And this one, I'm going to stick this one right down in there. They're the only two that are not native. All the rest are native. Now this isn't English, this is not our native arrowhead, this is a Canadian arrowhead. But it's not harmful in a small garden pond. I wouldn't put it in the wider environment, but in a garden pond it's quite nice because again it has lovely white flowers, and because it's not a native English one, it can tend to stay a little bit longer and you get a greater number of white flowers. So it's a common one sold in garden centres, but it's got the arrowhead look, but it's not English because it's got a curved end, and the English end has a spiked end. Likes a shallowy place. Right down in the water. And this is water plantain. Water plantain will grow up and have an architectural white and pinky flower that comes off at what's called scaffolding flowering. So it comes off at all angles, at straight angles, and it can be very tall, about this tall. So it can look really pretty when it grows. Over here for the water plantain. That should look quite nice. We also have just an ordinary, this is again not native, but it's just an architectural plant really, and just gives you a bit of variegation without it doing any harm to the pond. The more you add, the more chance you're going to get a greater balance. And the greater the balance in the pond, the greater the diversity, the greater the biodiversity. And that's what we're trying to achieve. And being a new pond, obviously things have got to settle yet and take time to get where they've got to go. Around the side, I think just in that water there, I think. 2.5 days, and the team here has created from a patio to a wildlife pond. What an amazing thing, from a dig out in hard ground, chalky clay soil, to now a natural looking liner covered with the subsoil we've dug out here, a natural looking pond. So we know we're going to get a right range of wildlife coming to this pond. Now we've planted it up with a range of species, and every time you want a new wildlife pond, get in touch and we can see what we can create for you too. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and you'll be seeing all the amazing things we get up to. Have fun. And the lady said, well, I often get the fox in the garden, and I was building it, turned up and the fox was right behind me, coming up to the water.
Oh, we're swapping? Yeah. Should the girls go?
You've got to laugh, if you don't, I'll cry.
I haven't seen badgers, but I've heard there are badgers around here, but we've not seen any.
And Grandad's other name is called Grandad's the Pond. She says hello to me like that.